All right, sharing screen, check. Audio on, check. You'd think that these are like common sense check marks, but you'd be surprised that I forget them. So this is going to be a videotaped session. We're going to see if a couple people roll in here, but this is going to be a videotape thing. I'm going to leave it up. A couple people wanted the evening session, but then they told me they couldn't make it. Things happen, I get it. I am, if my voice sounds a little strained, it's, I'm still recovering. I'm at home, I'm not in the hospital, but recovering at home is proven to be a little harder than at the hospital, so thanks for bearing with me. What we're going to be covering today is the action that happened today on SPY. And specifically, we're going to be looking at the GEX, the feed that comes in when under the gold subscription. You have access to the gamma exposure. You have access to the 0 DTE feed and the weekly. We're going to focus mainly on the 0 DTE and then maybe look at the weekly. Because it is Tuesday, there's a lot of week left. So what really happened today in the SPY? We had an overnight crush. I would say crush, but probably poor choice of words. We had a reversion to support. We touched this 580, which is a technical support, and we started bouncing off of it as the market opened. Now, last workshop, we touched upon the GEX information prior to the market open and post the market open. So prior to the market open, you start getting GEX information, especially in the feed at 9:15 here and 9:30. This is all information that happens pre-bell. And a lot of people use this to plan their day, which is great. I'm not saying not to. But there's going to be a difference of data that comes in right after the bell. So 9:30 would be the information coming from 9:16 to 9:29. And then the 9:45 is going to be your first raw data or real data. I mean, market live data, right? But take a note of this pre-market data because this is going to come back up. Foreshadowing, a little foreshadowing. So what do we have here? We have this really stands out, right? We have some negative GEX, all kind of like in the same vicinity or amount, I guess you'd say. My vocabulary is terrible. You gotta bear with me. But I like this. This is a strong high GEX. It's in this. This is an anomaly. I always look for something like that. But it's attached to the absolute GEX. Absolute GEX is a value. Just remember is that where that is the strike of the highest liquidity. So right now it's telling us that 584 has the highest liquidity. Plus you have this high GEX. Call volume is right below it at 583. So if we were to travel up that way, it's coupled with max pain. We could run into a little bit of a problem there. But this is still an attraction. So if it does pull the price action this way, it could use this as a wall. But the attraction is still there. Just keep that in mind. When the market opens, the data changes because everyone has orders waiting to go through at 9:30 in 1 second, right? So what we see is this big, strong negative GEX down at 580. Absolute GEX shifts down there. The put volume is also coupled up there, so that's going to be a nice support. I would think in the morning, this seems interesting. It's real close. I would think, you know what, the price action might just go down and touch this, and then we might look to go higher because the next GEX below, the next strike below at 579 is a lot lower. This is a big jump down. Plus, it'll be breaking this put volume support. But I would still think 580 would be open. So I would kind of wait on our move, that our pre-market trade theory. So what really happened in the morning, we kind of a lot of indecision candles, right? We did not visit that 580. It was perfectly touched right before the bell. We could have expected another bounce right here to go higher, and that would have been a perfect story, you know, a textbook, they call it, right? This is a textbook pattern. Or I say it, not they, I. That would have been a textbook pattern, a double touch, pre-market and post-market, post-bell. Touch at 580, which is that super outlier. And then we can look at the quant chart right here. And what else is at 580? Max pain. Now remember, this is weekly. This is going to have different max pains in the 0 DTE. This updates also throughout the week as calls and puts come in. But right now, look, max pain is 580. If you look at it, we don't have overnights here. You can make the case that it came down to 580. We didn't actually touch it, but you can make the case. So maybe it's just me being a little too detailed. But that's the idea. You have that draw down to 580. It had the opportunity. You could say it went down to it. That's up to you. But either way, we are now looking upward. We're hanging on top of the VWAP. And on our chart here, you can see it perfectly all day. It used the regular VWAP, not here's the 2-day VWAP, the thicker one. It used the regular VWAP as support the whole day. And then once it broke that 2-day VWAP, it used it as a launching pad to get through that intraday level. And this goes back to what I'm always saying. When you look at the quant charts, this is a quant chart, by the way. This is nice to meet you, quant chart. Just look at it level by level, right? Don't say, oh, you know what? We hit the buy zone. We're going to go to a sell zone. Let's get weekly Friday expiration dates, zero DTs. We're going to the sell zone. When we got a lot of business to get through here. So if you play it level by level, you can find better entries. And if you're fast, like super fast, like some of the guys in the rooms are, you can scalp that way. So once you know that you broke the 2-day VWAP, kind of broke it, came back and tested it, soaring up to the next level, just see you later, hit that midpoint, then came back and tested the intraday, and then finished out the day around that area. But let's stick to the GEX, right? As this is now not of interest anymore, right? We're going to watch and see how this fades throughout the day and see if anything else starts to pick up. So right around, what was it? Probably right after lunch, a couple hours after lunch, we start seeing more positive GEX come in. Now this is interesting. The negative GEX, which is red in the beginning of the day, shifts to like this marine or cobalt blue. What that means is that the environment is now no longer negative net GEX. The environment is now positive GEX, which means or translates to less volatility. Positive GEX environment means less volatility. Our absolute GEX shifted back to the pre-market levels, 584. So I was having a conversation with someone after our last workshop, and I want to stress this. When I say the pre-market data is different than the post-bell data, I'm not saying throw out the pre-market data. I'm saying just understand that it's different. But here we can make our play for the day, 584 absolute GEX, high GEX. Okay, that's our play for the day. But when the new fresh data comes out, when the market opens, we can adjust and find our entry. But we still have our play for the day at 584. It just took that morning to get through those morning trades. And here we have it reunited once again. And now, once that interest gets at 584, you see the 585, 586 strikes, they start getting higher in GEX. People always, when they see a run go up, they want more. Everyone always does. And it finishes out the week here. And this is when we can pop over, when it gets data like this, you can't really trade this. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, we have 5, 6 numbers here. We can't really trade it. When in doubt, zoom out. We have the power of looking at more data, and we can take into account the SPY weekly. Let's get into this week. That's yesterday. Sorry. Let's get into today. And let's see if the shift happens here on the weekly. So the shift happened right around 130. Right here we have 130. We're in a negative GEX environment. Now let's just pull this open and see. We have still at 580 is on the weekly. It's hugging that 580. Absolute GEX, max pain, and an outlier of high GEX. And the put volume as support. That's interesting to me. The price action is now up to 583. And I think it goes to 584 after that. Close out the day. But let's see how SPY Weekly closes out the day. Closes out the day with 585 at its large strike price. But it's still This is a major confluent level here. We have 1, 2, 3, and you can count that put volume 4. 4 pieces of data points are telling us that 580 is of interest. So what does my brain think of when I look at this? I think of tomorrow when, let's say we open, we hit 585. If this is still in play, all these levels are still lined up at 580, I'd be looking at this level of interest. If these levels stay low, they're not going to track the price up higher. This is just how my brain interprets this data visually. QTA is a tool. Tools are used differently in the hands of the users. So some people might look at the GEX charts and see just volatility. Are we in a positive GEX environment? Are we in a negative GEX environment? Where are my key levels? Okay, great. Let me go back and trade off the quant charts. It's a common way to trade using QTA tools. I like to look at this as more of attractants and magnets and supports. That's just the way I interpret it. You might learn a different way of doing it. So let's just keep that in mind. This is the way one person uses the tool. So I'm imagining tomorrow, 585, if this data still holds, of an attraction. Once that's reached, where are we going to go? We're going to go to these short guys here, or is this super attractant at 580 going to be more in play? Let's see how it looks on that quant chart. Does that make sense? 585, it would be a technical level. That makes sense. We'll reach up. We'll run into this technical resistance. And now the weekly supports, 577. This is the intraday, so this is going to change for tomorrow. But the max pain, 580, is still there. We're above both VWAPs for tomorrow. It'll be interesting to see. 580, though, is definitely a technical resistance. And it's also a gamma exposure resistance on the weekly. So keep that in mind. And again, when the new data comes out at, 8:30 in the morning, we get new data, and the first feed comes in on the GEX at, that's when you get your levels, your quant levels come in at 8:30. You'll get the new data feed at 9:15. We'll be able to see, we'll be able to plan just like we did this morning. So I just want to reiterate, the pre-market data is going to be different than the post-bell, but it's not garbage data by far. And this today was a perfect example that proves it. Because keep in mind, there's a lot of people that put their orders in after hours. They call their broker and they say, you know what, I really want to get into SPY at 580 or something, whatever the case is. They put their orders in, and these brokers execute them at the moment that the market opens. And more machines get faster and faster, the more orders come in first thing in the morning. That's why the most volume happens the first 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes in trading. Some people don't even like trading the first 30 minutes because it's just too chaotic. This morning was not as chaotic as we've probably seen before in the past. The same thing happens the last 15 minutes in trading. There was a thing in my last group, the last 10 minutes was just pure madness. And then also sometimes right after lunch. Anyway, these are theories that we can get into another time, but keep in mind that you have access to different sets of data, right? You can have your technical analysis that we've honed over the years, or that over the months that you and I have been trading, or whoever's listening, participating. Use your technical analysis, but back it up with the quant charts. This is math. This is not anyone's opinion. This is unbiased levels of statistics. If you want what the options chain is doing, how do we look at the GEX, right? The gamma exposure. You come to these charts. And when they all line up, that's when that's when your interest gets peaked at a certain level. Right now, 580, right? SPY weekly, just to reiterate. 580 is a massive level. It's been holding on to that absolute GEX and the max pain. So I'd like to see how that plays out. I know I usually cover NVIDIA in these things, but I think we're going to skip that. I think today was not really an exciting day for NVIDIA. What's up? Is there any way to recap SPY, absolute GEX, pre-market versus end of day? Yeah, I think that's what we just did. I have it. This is recorded, by the way. I can't see your full name. Sorry, F. That's all I can see is F. But I'll get you the recording, and you can see it. The pre-market data says one thing, and then the post bell says something completely different. But then as the day goes on, you can see how important the pre-market data is. And that question is exactly what this session was about. So I'm so glad you asked that question. So the video I'm going to send you will answer everything for you. But that's really it. Take the data. Don't what do you call it? My vocabulary is the pits right now. Don't take it for granted. Right? Don't take the data for granted. Pour over it. There's no race to get into something. I know for day traders, we got to get in. We got to get in. But keep in mind, we always want to look for that break and retest. So if we miss that first chance, don't worry. There's another level. And just everything is level by level, right? If we missed this first level up because we were waiting for that retest on 580 that never came, that's okay. We'll just wait for the break and retest on the VWAP. And there's our scalp right there. Scalp from the 2-day VWAP to the midpoint, and we're out. That would be 1320. So that's a 40-minute trade right there. Just a break, a retest, you're in, you're out at midpoint, and that's it for the day. I wish I could go on further, and I do apologize for my voice not being the loud, obnoxious that you're all used to and love so much. But I am still recovering, and I don't have all the good pain meds that they give you in the hospital at my fingertips at home. But if you guys have any more questions, post them in chat, in public chat, enthusiast chat, whichever you feel more comfortable in. And please, I would love to have a conversation in public chat rather than some people just posting their gains without any context. I'm really trying to get the people that post their gains to talk about it. I'm thinking they just might be fishing for people to say, hey, how does that work? Oh, you want me to sign up with you? I get it, but I like to give everyone the doubt. Oh, so this is someone, if you're having trouble getting into Discord or accessing something while at work or a firewall, I got myself a NordVPN. This is a 3 months free. You click on that, NordVPN is like the cheapest and I think the best. It just does what I need it to do. And you're able to access it, Discord, wherever you need to be, wherever you are. Wow. I apologize. Thank you guys for putting up with my dissected vocabulary. But if you do think of any other questions, type them in the chat or DM me, and I'll get back to you. I'm going to lightly process this video and get it out there. I don't know if I'm going to post it or just send it to you. Let me see if I can get your full name here. FLC chick. FL chick. Oh, I'm sorry. How should I... Quick question about the dark pool on Think or Swim. How should I interpret those? Is that liquidity? Yeah, so dark pools. What are dark pools? Real quick, dark pools are in areas... So let's say we're a big company and we're a bunch of whales and we have our own hedge fund and we want to trade 10 million shares of Tesla. But if we put 10 million shares of Tesla on the open market, it will drive the price to an area where we don't feel, or it'll just alert too many people that it will be disadvantageous for us to do that. So we do it in a private way. However that happens, that's above my pay grade. But the dark pools are letting us know where those levels are. So if dark pools are an area of high orders. So if you see a dark pool level at 585 and there's having like 1 million, that's just 1 million orders there. So how do you interpret that? You can interpret that as support and resistance, just like you would any other high order. If you can see it in the, well, we're not open right now, so it won't be there. But if you have access to the price ladder or the tape, whatever you want to call it, where you see orders coming down the pipe, and if you see a 1,000, I want to get NVIDIA at 144. And I'm putting down 1,000 orders of that. When you get to 144, it's going to be like a wall. You're going to have to like chew through that wall to get through it, or you're going to just reject and come back down to it, trying to visit it again. So you should interpret a dark pool level as support and resistance. That's as basic as understanding as you can get. If it's below you, it could be support. If it's above you, treat it as resistance. If it lines up with another area that we've talked about, like if a dark pool level is at 580 and max pain's at 580 and an intraday level is at 580, that's a grand support level. You know, I wouldn't bet that would hold. I would wait, and once it reached there, I would start looking upward. Think of it like that. So when you have a dark pool level that lines up with another level that makes sense in another data world or data universe, like a dark pool level lines up with a quantitative level, or a dark pool level lines up with a GEX level, that's when you can really start plotting your trades. I hope that answered your question, Watts. All right, very good. I think I'm going to do, instead of doing one like hour-long workshop a week, I'm going to do like 2 half-an-hour ones. So we'll do this again Thursday night. Does that sound good? And hopefully I'll have more strength and more cheesy jokes to keep everyone on their toes. But until then, ask questions to me in chat, and I'll be right there to answer them, or someone else will. And if you're on the gold side and you just joined, get into quant chat and get into gold chat. Super helpful people there. Or if you're into spreads, go into option spreads too. All right, guys. Thank you so much. And if you're on the fence about joining, take the code DNOW30. I'll type it in chat here. Oops. Oh no, number 3 is broken. This poor laptop. DNOW30 at checkout will give you 30% off your first month. That way you have a full month to try out all these tools that we're talking about and see when you apply it to your own technical analysis. To show you how much it does help you. It just makes you more confident. That's really what it did to me. And I used to say it makes good traders great and great traders more confident, but I'm steering away from that. I think it just makes all traders more confident. You know, how else can you look at a level and say, all right, I think we're going to be going down to here. And then instead of saying, I think, we can just pull up, literally at any time of the day, pull up a live feed and see what's going on, what everyone else is thinking, and see where the sentiment is on the SPY, the SPX, the Qs, the Russells, and then even the 7. This is the first time I think I've ever talked about specifically the SPY and not touched on any of the equities that we handle here. Next time. All right. Well, thanks, guys. Thanks a lot. I'll get this video. There's no, like, editing really to do with it. I'm just going to post it up. But again, questions, post them in chat, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks a lot.